Welcome to 2025. I hope you have enjoyed Christmas and the New Year celebrations. For my first video of the year, I will be taking a look at the top 10 best-selling games for the Sega Mega Drive, also known as the Sega Genesis in North America. Personally, I'm not a fan of the American name of the console, but the change was necessary, as the name Mega Drive was already owned by another company. This is Sega's 16-bit console entry into the fourth generation and was the successor to the 8-bit Master System. The main competitors were the Super Nintendo, aka Super Famicom in Japan, and the PC Engine, aka the TurboGrafx in North America. The Mega Drive was released between 1988 and 1990 worldwide, and eventually released in India in 1994. Sega officially ended production in 1997, selling almost 31 million units. In North America, Majesco Entertainment obtained the license to manufacture the Genesis model for another 2 years, selling 1.5 million units, and Tectoy produced the Brazil version, selling an estimated 3 million units, and are still producing the console as of 2025. Third-party company AT Games have been producing and selling variants of the 16-bit console for the North American and European markets. I could waffle on all day about the console, but that is not what this video is all about, so here's the top 10 best-selling games. Roll title. Starting off at number 10 is Eternal Champions. It was developed by Sega of America and published by Sega Enterprises, and was first released in December of 1993. It was one of the few fighting games that was specifically developed for the home console market, as opposed to being a port of an arcade game. Due to the success of the arcade fighting games genre, such as Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, Sega wanted to release a fighting game of their own, with more emphasis on the storylines and unique moves and abilities to try to stand out from the crowd. In 1995, an enhanced version, Eternal Champions: Challenge from the Dark Side, was released for the Sega CD. The game also spawned 2 spin-off games, Chicago Syndicate and Experts. Eternal Champions was added to the Wii's Virtual Console download service in December of 2007 and included with the Sega's Mega Drive and Genesis Mini version released in 2019. Coming in at number 9 is Street Fighter II Champion Edition, otherwise known as Street Fighter II Dash in Japan. It was developed and published by Capcom and released for the Mega Drive and Genesis in April 1992. This game was first released as an arcade title and then ported over to several consoles. Champion Edition was the first of several updated titles stemming from Street Fighter II and was followed by Street Fighter II Turbo. The main changes to this title were the addition of the 4 Grandmasters returning as playable characters, as well as the addition of mirror matches. The fighting techniques of the 8 main characters from the original game were further balanced for competitive play. The Sega's 16-bit version went on to sell just over 1.66 million copies worldwide. At number 8 is Mortal Kombat 2. The original arcade game was developed and published by Midway and then ported to various home consoles by various developers. The Mega Drive and Genesis port was further developed by Probe Software and published by Acclaim Entertainment. It was first released in November 1993. It is the second main installment in the Mortal Kombat franchise and a sequel to 1992's Mortal Kombat, improving the gameplay and expanding the mythos of the original Mortal Kombat. introducing more varied finishing moves, including several fatalities per character and new finishes, such as Babaliti and Friendship, and several iconic characters, such as Kitana, Melina, Kung Lao, the hidden character Noob Saibot, and the series' recurring villain Shao Kahn. This port of Mortal Kombat 2 sold over 1.8 million copies worldwide. At number 7 is NBA Jam. It is a basketball video game developed and published by Midway for arcades in 1993 and published by Acclaim Entertainment for multiple home consoles throughout 1994, including the Sega Mega Drive and Genesis. It is the first entry in the NBA Jam series. The project leader for this game was Mark Turmel. NBA Jam was the third basketball video game released by Midway after TV Basketball 1974 and Arch Rivals 1989. The gameplay of NBA Jam is based on Arch Rivals, which was also a 2-on-2 basketball game. However, it was the release of NBA Jam that brought mainstream success to the genre. The release of NBA Jam popularized a subgenre of basketball based around fast action and exaggerated realism, a formula Midway later applied to the sports of hockey, NHL Open Ice and NHL Hits, American football, NFL Blitz, and baseball, MLB Slugfest. The Sega 16-bit version of the game went on to sell over 2 million units worldwide. In at number 6 is Jurassic Park. The Mega Drive and Genesis version was developed by Blue Sky Software and published by Sega. It was developed as a tie-in with the film of the same name, and it also includes some elements from the 1990 novel, written by Michael Crichton, for which the movie was based on. Jurassic Park is a side-scrolling action-adventure game that also includes platform gameplay elements. The North American release of the game was the first to utilize Sega's new rating system and was given the rating GA, which means General Audiences. Worldwide, the game has sold over 2.2 million copies for the Sega 16-bit system. Halfway through the list at number 5 are the games Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. Both were developed by Sonic Team and published by Sega. Originally, these started off as a single game and was originally considered to be made into an isometric 3D game, the format that was ultimately used to develop Sonic 3D for the Mega Drive and Saturn systems. Due to the sheer size of the game in development and the impending deadline, the developers decided to split the game into 2 parts and release the first part as Sonic 3 in February of 1994, and the second part as Sonic and Knuckles in October of 1994. This was to prevent massive delays on the release of the title. Despite the decisions made, both titles became a critical and commercial success, and has been seen as an improvement over the predecessors by critics. Both titles sold a combined total of over 4 million copies worldwide. Here at 4th position is Disney's Aladdin. It is a side-scrolling platform game that was developed by Virgin Games and published by Sega, and was released in October 1993. The game was highly praised for having some of the highest quality visuals for the Sega 16-bit system and became a commercial success. This title is one of many licensed games from the same movie, with Capcom developing their own version for the rival, the Super Nintendo and Super Famicom. As I was one of the lucky few to have owned both 16-bit consoles at the time, I was fortunate to have a copy for each console, and despite them having the same title, they were both obviously very different games. The Mega Drive and Genesis version sold a total of over 4 million copies worldwide. And up, in at number 3, is Mortal Kombat. The Mega Drive and Genesis version was developed by Probe Software and published by Acclaim. It was first released as an arcade game by Midway and then ported to various home consoles and handhelds. It is the first game of the franchise and introduced the infamous fatality finishers. It was a commercial success despite the controversies of using digitally realistic characters and excess use of violence, blood and gore. Along with a few other home console game releases, Mortal Kombat resulted in the formation of the Entertainment Software Rating Board, ESRB, a US government-backed organization that set descriptor ratings for video games. The Sega's 16-bit version alone sold over 4.33 million copies worldwide. Just off the top spot at number 2 is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It was developed by Sega Technical Institute and published by Sega. After the critical and commercial success of the first game, Sega prompted STI founder Mark Cerny to start Sonic 2. Mark brought in programmer Yuji Naka from Japan to California to join the project. The game introduces Sonic's sidekick Tails, also known as Miles Prower in Japan, as well as a competitive 2-player mode, and using pre-rendered 3D graphics for the special stage. The number of Chaos Emeralds has increased to 7, and now, collecting all emeralds would give Sonic the ability to become supersonic. With a huge financial backing and aggressive marketing, Sonic 2 was a huge success and won multiple year-end accolades as well as 2 Golden Joystick Awards. Sonic 2 went on to sell over 7.55 million copies for the Sega 16-bit console. And finally, in top spot is the one game that was responsible to boosting the popularity of the Mega Drive and Genesis in Europe and North America, Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog was developed by Sonic Team and published by Sega. This was the debut game for the titular character as the protagonist, but not the very first appearance. This was actually a cameo appearance as an ornament in a car in the 1990 arcade game Rad Mobile. The character was designed by Naoto Oshima, the winner of an internal character design contest. Sonic the Hedgehog, designed for fast gameplay, was influenced by games by Super Mario series creator Shigeru Miyamoto. Sonic the Hedgehog received positive reviews for its visuals, audio and gameplay, and is widely considered one of the greatest video games. The game went on to sell over 15 million copies worldwide for Sega's 16-bit console. That's the end of today's video. If you have made it this far, then I sincerely thank you for putting up with me. I have enjoyed playing many games for the Mega Drive throughout my youth. I remember the first time I saw the console when it was new and I tried out California Games and Golden Axe. My absolute favourite for this console has to be Sonic 2. For next week's video, I will be giving you the top 10 best-selling games for the Super Nintendo, known as Super Famicom in Japan. YouTube algorithms are not going in my favour, and I ask that you leave this video a like, then subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for all notifications. I would like to reach 100 subscribers this year, and if this happens, I will do a special video with the top 50 best-selling consoles of all time. I would also like to hear from you. If there are any classic or retro game you would like me to try out and review, then leave a comment and I would be happy to try that game out. Thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Here are some suggestions for some of my previous videos, and I will be releasing some new ones soon.